All right, welcome back to another edition of Dive In Deep with the Dirty Water Boys, powered by Trinity Solar.
On this episode of Dirty Water Boys, we have Bobby Burke.
The Bobster.
Welcome, Mr. Burke.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
So, you are and have been a firefighter, to my understanding, and then you've also played one on TV, which is a joke I love. When people say, I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV, you can actually use that joke.
I have not played a firefighter on television.
He wasn't a firefighter. He was a cop, I believe, right?
On Rescue Me, I was the cousin of Dennis Leary, who was a firefighter. I was
thought
the only
you were
guy
in
on
the
the
house
show
as well.
who was a firefighter who did not play a fighter.
Well, there goes 93% of my
Was
jokes.
were you a cop on that?
No.
Detective? Oh.
No. I play cops. I play detectives, FBI a lot. I've been a volunteer firefighter. Well, I think all firefighters are volunteers, but some get paid. That's what we say. For about 21 or 22 years. And, on Rescue Me, I played Dennis Leary's cousin. I'm still in touch with Dennis. We still do fire department fundraising and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love hearing stories about people that work together, that stay in contact after. Because we haven't done a lot of work with other people, but we've done a few things, and we've noticed in the short time that some people stay in contact, and other people act like they don't even know your name.
Yeah.
You mean after...
Like all the proceedings where we've interviewed people, or we've been interviewed by people, we've done work in the river with people, and they'll come in, act like they're your best friend, you know?
Right.
You'll break bread, have a great conversation, a couple days together, and then they don't want to know your name. And they're like, okay, have a good day.
Everybody's different.
Yeah, but I like to hear about the ones that stay in contact with each other.
So how did you get into firefighting? What made you want to do that?
Let me just skip 9/11. My best friend was a captain downtown of Ladder 3. His name was Captain Patty Brown. He was murdered on that day. And, it was one of those feelings where I went back to my town and I said, why should it always be Jim and Joe? And, why can't it be me? So I decided my fire service would be in his honor, you know what I mean? And, the fire service throughout our country, 70% of which is volunteer, needs people. Young people are not turning out any longer. So I went through fire school at 41 years old, which was fun. I was more mature than a lot of the guys, but mechanically I wasn't very astute ever.
Right.
That kind of freaked me out a little, but I overcame that and everything, hit the books really hard, and physically was no challenge. I mean, psychologically it was, which brings me to what you guys do and the affinity I have for that. Darkness, air, keeping your composure. It's inherently dangerous. I think discussing it is probably one the most singly dangerous endeavor you can get into. So I think that's why I have an affinity for what you guys do and a respect for it, big respect for it. That's how I think I actually got here today. But yeah, that was the start of my fire service was because of my friend Pat. Yeah.
Yeah, I did read that you did join the search and rescue down there.
They listed me at over 100 hours. I don't even remember. I remember some nights I'd be just humping tanks for local 40 guys with, the Lancer wands and the acetylene and everything. And then some nights you'd be doing this and some nights you'd be doing that. So it was intense.
Pretty wild.
It was surreal is what it was. I hung around when I grew up, some Washington Heights, some Long Island. A lot of my friends had been, fire department, police department, but I still had no idea what firemen did. They go to a fire, they put water, there's huge amounts of chores and tasks and skills, perishable skills that these guys have to learn. And I didn't get it until, not even at the site of the World Trade Center did I get it. But I was asked to do certain things, and we laughed sometimes because of the absurdity of what was going on. I remember being sent down the hill to get illumination, a light stand.
Right.
And then I have to go back down and get a generator because it's, going to run off.
How do you power the light? Yeah.
And then the guy says the gas is empty. Some guy I don't know, and I go back down to get gas. This is like 25 minutes down, 25 minutes back. And after my fourth trip, he goes, "Is that mixed gas?" And I was like, bro, this is going to run for 7 hours, then it'll seize up, and I'll go get you. Oh no, you're fine. So it was strange because I had no place being there.
Mm-hmm.
But by virtue of having been their captain's best buddy, they were all very differential and hospitable and I don't know, grateful maybe, but I saw things down there that
Stay with you. Yeah. Well, that conversation went a turn.
Yeah, huh?
We probably should have ended with that.
Well,
so how do you find the time to volunteer for your local house? But now, what's the name of the ladder?
Ocean Beach Fire Department, Ocean Beach, New York. I was the captain of an engine for I think 10 years. I was lieutenant for 2 or 3 years, and now I'm back to being a black helmet, regular fireman.
Back in the trenches.
Yeah, which is good because they can't kick me around anymore. When you're an officer, they take shots at you, and listen. The real reason I wouldn't accept a captain's spot again is because I wanted to make a spot for a young guy coming up. Really, really terrific guy. There was no spot for him, so I said, you know what? I'm going to step aside. Boom, he moves up, and we all,
Yeah.
how do I find
for the crew?
Yeah, how do I find? There was times I came home from acting, let's say 12, 15, 18-hour day, and I'm having a, chicken cutlet, and the tones go off for like a good working structure fire. I was doing a podcast for some guy, Jeremy, National Fire Radio. He's a terrific guy, very, prolific in the fire service in the United States. And a half hour before we do the podcast, I get toned out for a helicopter landing. It's a medevac. And I take a little video. I say, dude, I might be a little late getting there. So it's a balancing act. This is what you signed up for. Do you know what I mean? You signed up to respond. So it's not like you get to roll over and pick and choose. Although I do sometimes. We all do.
I'm impressed that you left your chicken cutlet to go hear this. I was hanging
that chicken
Stronger
cutlet
man
story,
than me.
I swear to you, that chicken cutlet story, honest to God, I was eating a chicken cutlet one night, and the tones go, Signal 13, Ocean Beach Fire Department, working structure fire. There's different designations. Structure fire, working, so it means it's been confirmed. Something's burning. West Walk, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, West Walk. And I look out the window, like to my east, and I see this. I'm like, how did I miss that? I mean,
it's that chicken cutlet. I got you.
2-3 blocks away, and it's really, letting go. So anyway, you go, but we don't get that much. I mean, we get as much as, let's say, any suburban municipality. You get your workers, but it's mostly down power lines, gas leaks, suspicious odor, electrical, helping rescue. We have 2 advanced life support ALS ambulances, so I'll drive for them. I don't administer any care. I tried to go through those EFR classes. That's the lowest of the low. It's lower than basic life support. BLS.
So you can give like blood pressure.
No, I
can't even do that.
I'm not to touch anybody. But every time I try to go through that class, I get called away to do a job. It could be Mexico. It could be anywhere.
Yeah.
And I tried it like 2 summers ago again. I'm great up until airways, and passages and stuff like this. And then I just, 4 or 5 weeks into the course, this is the 3rd time it's happened. We all had our masks on because of COVID during the classroom 2 years ago. And the guy looks at me and goes, not you again. I said, yeah,
I'm trying. I'll get it done eventually.
Yeah, but I'll never be an EMT.
As divers, we have to take certain medical classes for care because when you're on a barge or a boat, and you could be real secluded. And although you have, the United States Coast Guard, which praise them, they'll show up if you need them,
Right.
But you're still moments away from them.
Oh, yeah.
And they're not right next door. And so we'll be in classes together. And
Sure.
I'm the one in the water. So if something happens, it's chances going to happen to me. Right? So I'm sitting there and doing these classes. I look over at him. He's like, I'm like, great. He's my guy. He's going to save me.
But I will, though.
I ask, National Fire Protection Association, FPA standards. You guys do OSHA, PESH, or,
We follow the Navy guidelines.
Navy.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, just in terms of redundancy and everything, we say when we go in with the hose line, 2 in, 2 out, right? You're in the water by yourself. I've often wondered why isn't a guy like really ready to go to.
Well, we just demonstrated this the other day. We had a newer diver. He just got back from Florida Dive School, Mikey Boots, and he was diving. And now he wasn't in any harm's way, but he got into a little bit of a problem and he needed some assistance. I was sleeping. I was in the boat sleeping. They woke me up. I was in a wetsuit, helmet on my head, in under 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So-
you do have a contingency.
Yes,
You usually have a standby
there's
diver.
a standby
usually.
diver. So your standby diver for certain jobs will be dressed out. If you're doing penetration dives, where a sewer system or confined space where there's no open air above you,
Right.
it depends how deep you are or how far the penetration is. You can have an in-water tender, which you have a guy.
He's in the water.
He's in the water with you. So like we did one where it was 100 and something feet into the sewer and then it made a right and went another 100 and something feet. So I had a tender at that turn. So if I needed to get out or
Right.
he needed to come, he was already there and he just sat there twiddling his thumbs. Took a little nap.
I'm getting all my answers.
So they just hung out. But we have standby divers.
I see. I never knew that.
But what we're doing now, where we're at in the river, it's a hobby. So although we get a lot of scrutiny on the internet, which the internet does what it does best,
Sure.
and tells me how we're doing it wrong, we don't fall under OSHA guidelines or Navy standard, legally speaking, because we're just a couple guys hanging out diving.
But
in
we
the river.
know all that stuff.
We know the
so-
rules and we follow them. It's just we don't like. He's not wearing gloves in a photo,
Right.
and someone's like, OSHA doesn't say. Well, listen, OSHA has no. Does OSHA going to come to the beach and tell you to wear
Right.
sunscreen?
Right. Right. Right.
So we get a lot of scrutiny on it, but we do follow the Navy guidelines and the
you're
OSHA
professionals,
standards.
so
Yeah.
you're gonna not jam yourselves up. But
But if he doesn't wear gloves, it's his prerogative. I'm not going to make him.
the whole way it breaks down now, the way you just we were out there hobbyists,
Mhm.
So now that's another aspect that's clear to me. But when I was watching the video when the Coast Guard is there and NYPD is nosed in and they're all like looking at you guys like
Because they're trying to figure
they're
out
trying to figure out.
what are we doing wrong.
Yeah.
Because we had such a presence. You got to figure this way. You had a $2 million boat, a floating city.
Mm.
You had big TV personalities
Yep.
and internet sensations on this boat. You had a crew of 25 people. You had $250,000 in gear. And they're like, there's no way this is recreational.
Yes, something has to be wrong here.
You didn't get a
A
permit.
boat violation. Someone has
Not-
something on the boat they shouldn't have.
And you guys were good that day?
Nothing.
Everything was perfect.
Nothing.
Oh, the boat was running great. We had a certified captain. We had a certified
Crew.
first mate.
We had everything.
Everything
we
was
needed.
in
Everyone had life jackets. Everyone that needed to be with CPR certified.
No, I watched it. I watched it.
We had
Like, when they ask how many people on board, they're like 20.
Yeah.
They're poking, they're probing.
Yeah, they're like, everyone had their ID out. We're like,
I show up to a restaurant or a hotel. There was an alarm. I have to sign off on everything. It's my it's my ass in the seat. It's litigation. It's some lawyer going, Mr. Burke, did you ask the owner of the hotel who silenced the alarm? You have to do it. These are the boxes that have to be checked. And they seem like good guys after they came on board.
Yeah, well, they came on. We discussed it, and we're
and
like,
we had the lawyer from the TV personalities we had on there.
Yeah,
The lawyer was there. He was like, "Can I help you with any law, guys?"
and we had a sire captain,
Wow.
Chevy, did a sign-in sheet.
Right.
Everyone was signed. We call a battle buddy or a
Yep.
boat buddy.
Yep.
So if I'm taking a piss, hey, I'm going to take a piss. I come back, I'm done. Like we have strict mandates that we've learned that the rules been written in blood.
Yep.
Through our union and OSHA and through the Navy that we implicate those rules on what we're doing. So when we have those incidences where the U.S. Coast Guard comes out
Right.
or the NYPD, they come on. They're like, "Well, what are you doing?" We're like, "Here's your paperwork," and they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, well, what are you doing?"
They checked the engine room. They checked everything.
Perfect.
Is there any aspect of it that crossed your mind that would have been the National Museum of History jamming you guys up?
Someone called. Someone reported it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know who the reporting person was, but someone
Well,
called.
some
in.
rich guy who donated to the museums. Like, these
Probably.
guys are probing around here. Call my contacts at One Police Plaza.
Yeah, get them down here. 'Cause the cops didn't know why they were there. And then they said we were brandishing a firearm.
Yeah.
That was the
So-
first report we got. We're like, what?
Our brother who knows people called me and was like, "Hey, does someone have a gun on the boat?" I'm like, "Absolutely not. I can guarantee it." He's like,
John's like,
"Well,
no, throws his gun off.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
He's like, well, somebody called the NYPD
Yeah.
and said someone was brandishing a firearm on the back of the boat, and I was in charge of the back of the boat. I was always back there checking the machines and making
Yeah.
sure no one was like screwing around because there's no railings. It's unsafe back there. So nobody had a gun. I know that for sure. And so somebody called and said that. It's very strange that they would do that.
Yeah.
And that would get the NYPD and Coast Guard
Oh,
involved
you get everybody. Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah.
So they got there and they couldn't. We asked them what they want, and then they're asking us what we're doing. And
Well,
we're
they
like,
made us sit there
for almost 2 hours.
for about 2 hours before they even boarded us.
They didn't have a reason to board us. We weren't breaking.
No,
the
I
laws.
listen. I extensively watched.
And
it.
then they're like, oh.
commenting. I said they're just probing. Write it out.
They sat there and they were like, oh, well, you're too close to a secured facility. I was like, there's no signs posted.
Was it the UN? No.
No, it was the heliport was on one
I
side,
see.
and then the ferry slip was on the other side.
So you were 24th Street or 28? Where were you?
The heliport on
The 34th Street or?
by Pier 11. I'm not sure. I only know the river end.
Okay.
I don't know the city part of
Yeah.
it. But it was by
Yeah, I think
excuse me,
it
by
was
Pier
down.
11, Pier 17.
I see.
So we were right there.
You were in the East River.
We were in the Hudson River.
Oh, you were in the Hudson River.
No,
No, that was the East River.
That East River. As soon as
Yeah.
you
Oh, turn, yes,
it's right around the turn. It's right there.
I feel terrible when John corrects me.
That's okay.
It's horrible.
John. Oh,
My brother. But now we're on audio and video of him doing it.
you can.
Now you can rewind it. Just clip that.
I correct him a lot though, off video.
Off camera's fine. On camera's an issue. So
Wow.
they came out, and at the end of it, we had a lot of fun, we had a lot of laughs.
Yeah.
But they were dicks about it.
Yeah.
They didn't need to come out there.
Well,
It was a waste of
especially when you
services.
just first showed up. I
No,
mean,
we
that
we
became.
were
We
there
were
for
there
9
for
hours.
9 hours.
We were done. We were
Then,
leaving.
then NYPD boat came, talked to the captain, and we're like, "Oh, we're just hobbyists. We're out here." They're like, "Okay, no problem." They leave.
Though they asked for my number. They said, "Who's in charge of dive operations?" So I got on the radio. I was like, "Don Gann, owner of, of Cy Marine Solutions. We're out here, non-commercial grade. We're recreational diving. Is there an issue? This is public navigable waterway. Is there an issue here?" And he goes, "Well, no." I said, "Then why are we having this conversation?" He goes, "Well, we were just curious. We got a call about a large vessel." I said, "Okay, well, now that we're clear, are we good?" He goes, "Let me get your cell phone number." I said, "So I give my number." I said, "I liked movies, and I like to go on long walks on the beach." I thought maybe he's going to bring me on a date. It's all right, whatever. Fuck
And
it.
they leave, and then they 20
and they
minutes
come
later,
back, and they
yeah.
come back at force.
Oh yeah.
You can't leave until the Coast Guard gets here. They said.
So
Okay.
then had Diesel Dave and Heavy D got on the radio from the Diesel Brothers, and he's like, "Why are you holding me?" And they finally did. They boarded. Everything was all great, so we walked away unscathed. But then the very next day, another dive team who's been competing with us, but I won't mention their name,
The
was out
upstate
there
guys.
diving.
The upstate guys, or
No,
do they come down the river? Or?
we come from down the river, so we start in Peekskill.
Oh, you.
Mhm.
Oh, you're not out of Jersey City, or?
Well, all our vessels that we rent or borrow are from a friend of ours, Randy King. He owns Madeline Marine Services.
Madeline Marine Services, and then Randy King Boat Services.
We have boat rentals.
Something like that.
So he's a good friend of ours. So we get all of our vessels from him, and then we park them in Jersey City.
I see.
But we start all of our ventures in Peekskill.
Oh, I
we
see.
come all the way down
Yeah,
the
because
Hudson.
I was confused. Where are you guys coming? And I saw you initially coming down the river on certain days.
Yeah,
That's the very beginning. Yeah.
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 Finding parking wasn't the easiest task.
Wow.
First, we parked at what was it?
Alpine Boat
Alpine
Marina.
Boat Marina. Yeah.
Gentlemen, by the way, out there. Gentlemen, they're out there.
And then we got closer to Jersey.
Yeah, then we
City.
started getting closer and closer to our destination. And then we switched gears, and instead of diving at 65th Street in Manhattan by the hospital,
Right.
we started diving at 65th Street, the rail yard in Brooklyn,
On the other side of the river.
on the other side.
I noticed that.
And that's where we've been finding stuff.
Interesting.
So, like, one of the things we found so far,
Yes.
this is our piece of mammoth tusk that we found, the shard, underneath the old railroad barge. There it is. That's the one. Now, that piece has been confirmed by the bone godfather himself,
John.
John Reeds, and his daughter, Lauren, came out. She was gracious to do a boat ride with us to see what our operation was all about, and she confirmed in person that's 100% what it is. Now, Michelle Beckenhorn, who's a member of our crew, she also confirmed it. She's
I remember initially when they put the video up, and somebody brought up a picture of one of these things on the internet. and
Google Earth, Google Lens,
It looked like the same piece.
It said waterlogged
mammoth tusk. I would thought it was busting my chops. When he's like, "You gotta come up here and look at this." I'm like, "Yeah, stop fucking with me, John." And then it turns out it was legit, and I was beside myself.
Wow.
Well, enough about us, Bobby Burke.
Yeah. So
Let's talk about you.
how does a gentleman from
Hold on a
Washington
minute.
Heights? Go ahead.
Hold on a minute. So, do you guys work with, like, let's say, I don't know how to even phrase this, algorithmically, weather data, currents, history, put it all into the computer? Where are these bones at?
So how we've been doing it is this. I know how the docks and how logistically the docks work
Right.
and how product comes in and out of the harbor.
Get snagged, this, that, the other.
I
But
know the water
historically,
tables.
Just in terms of, like, history, in terms of the pushes that have happened
Mhm.
because of Hurricane Sandy, Hurricane Donna, Hurricane, where your large, tides because of moons and that storm of the century in 90, whatever it was.
Mhm.
So if you have, X amount of bones dumped here. I'm just saying,
Where would they end up?
yeah.
Plus,
Yeah.
we don't know what the current was like the time they dumped them.
We don't know
there.
which way it was going. We don't know it was high
Coming
tide,
in,
low
coming
tide.
out. Yeah, so
We have none of the variables on that end, so it's a lot of a pig in a poke. We
I took a tour years ago, about 26 years ago, backstage at the Museum of Natural History.
can you get us back in?
Well, there's stuff everywhere. They don't even know when.
yeah, John Reeves posts pictures of when he was there.
It's
all of the basement stuff. Yeah.
unbelievable how much they were
How do
handed.
you think they would receive us if we went in there?
If they didn't know who you were.
Oh no, they're gonna know who I am. I'm gonna get a custom T-shirt.
We want to go.
embroidered.
We want to go there with a camera crew and
It'd be like, hey guys, explain how I found this.
It would behoove them to invite you guys in.
You think they would, but this is the crazy part. I don't know if you enjoy conspiracy theories or what have you.
No, that's why I'm here.
So we have had so much media coverage since we started this venture, right?
Mm.
And we did a joint dive collaboration with Blackwater Research, a friend of ours, Chris Ogden. We did a couple dives together to get situated with the rebreather crews and the scuba guys, which typically we don't play nice with each other. You know, hard hat divers and scuba divers.
I see.
I refer to those guys as LARPers. You ever see those guys at the park, the live
Long
action role
range
playing?
reconnaissance. Oh no.
No, that's way cooler.
that's
I'm talking about the virgins who sword fight in the park.
Oh yeah.
Those
yeah,
guys.
Yeah.
So I referred to scuba divers as LARPers.
I see.
So, but we made nice with these guys, and they dove with us. So we started finding. He had a find. A couple weeks later, I get a find, and we're still diving in the same location. Media silence. Nothing. I mean, we were live on Fox. We did a CBS skit. We did one for Inside Access or Inside Edition, whatever it is. And we had all these media outlets, 36 newspapers, did something with the AP. And then now that we have actual finds, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
See, the guys who give to the museum,
Big time, yeah.
they all
talk.
well, they all know each other. They all, you know what I mean. I don't want to implicate myself.
No, it's okay.
but you know what I'm saying. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, we're going radio silence on this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's just it.
But I don't understand why they can't just release a statement and say, you know what, we had no record of it, but since these gentlemen did find something in the East River, maybe there was things dumped that we had no idea about, and people who did do it back then are no longer alive.
Well, even I mean, it's two generations that have gone
Right,
by.
yeah.
When did John say that these
In the 40s.
in the 40s?
Between 1940 and 1942,
mean-
somewhere in that window.
But in it, did you hear the one part of it that in that they don't know a lot of things that were in there. There was not a shipping manifest, but
Right.
there's one thing they do know that they pulled a saber-toothed tiger skull out of his property that was sent to the museum, a full, complete, intact saber-toothed tiger skull,
Wow.
which is not on display, and the museum has no record of it.
If you go literally curtains like this,
Mhm.
and you, it's vast. Then we walk through their library. It's these everything is like cast iron, beautifully ornate stuff, glass tiles in the floor so that it can be illuminated very cheaply, spiral staircases. It's just really unbelievable. If it's still that way, which I believe it is, but it was just skulls, tusks, as far as your eye could see.
Where did it all go?
Well, I mean, no, that stuff is still
Oh,
there,
still
I
there?
believe. My son was handed a 94 million year old a piece of meteor, another 100 million year old dinosaur egg, tons of them.
Just handed it off to
They
him?
just no. The
Let's
person,
hold this.
the person who was we have pictures of it. The person who was giving us the tour, we had like full access.
How do we get that kind of red carpet?
Yeah, I'll tell you later.
All right, I got
How
you. I got to donate. Got it.
Oh no! I mean, it was not through me. It was through a friend we were with.
Off the mic, we'll talk.
Yeah,
we'll figure it out.
absolutely. But they have tons of stuff up there, and obviously, I don't know that they have enough space to display it all.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But I mean, just don't dump it in the river.
50 tons is a lot of anything.
Why does John? Has anybody explained like what happened geologically, on his property? I don't want to go off topic.
They don't know.
so
They don't know why they're all there. The bones are there. They don't know.
The theory that keeps coming to fruition is Younger's Dryas period.
Right.
When
It let go there, pushed some mud.
it so much happened
In that area.
instantaneously, it funneled.
Oh, it
all-
funneled.
Well, if you look at like the maps of the topographical maps,
Right.
it looks like
It
from
goes
far
right-
up in like above where they are, it just comes down to that area a little bit.
Right. And he's on good gold there too. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
I don't
everything's
think
fine.
he's hurting.
No.
No,
I
no.
think he's doing okay.
But that's his pride and joy now. That's since he's
That-
found
that's his-
that stuff.
That's his because it seems like to me his retirement. He's just hanging out digging for bones.
Yeah.
Like he made his money, made his fortune on
But
the gold. Now he's
these
just hanging
bones
out.
that were dumped in the East River were part of the. So back in Alaska on his property before he owned it, they moved more land than
Earth.
ever before because they knew the new technology they had then in the late 30s.
Yeah.
And apparently when they did that with the water jets,
Right.
they broke up a lot of specimens.
Oh.
So these were a lot like broken specimens and destroyed specimens.
Which would explain why we're finding.
So
broken
that's
pieces.
maybe the reason why they dumped these specific
Right.
rail truck full of it in the rivers because they were all messed up. So why are they going to save broken specimens when they have better ones?
Yeah, if you don't have a lot of storage, you're not going to save garbage. You'll save the good
So
stuff.
it all makes sense.
That's not a full specimen.
That's
What
a
do
bison, right?
no, that's a mammoth tusk.
Oh, it is
It's
a
ivory.
mammoth.
Yeah,
It
it's
is.
a
Oh, I see.
piece of mammoth tusk shard.
Wow.
I called him, and when I was FaceTiming him, explaining
Yeah.
what I found. He's like, "I'll give you $1,000 for it." I'm like, "It's not for sale." He's
No,
like,
I-
"Good answer. That's it."
Yeah.
I remember that specifically.
They're making new $100 bills every day. They're not making new with those every day.
Plus the story behind it.
Yeah.
Can't be indigenous to this area.
No.
No, not that one.
It's a lot of pieces. You got some guy in a room with little red things and strings trying to put these pieces together. We'll never probably know the truth, but we took in the last month off of diving.
Right.
I had twins, house fire,
Right.
my daughter's in the hospital, so we had a lot going on in the family. But next week we'll be out hitting the water again. Then really we're gonna go with 4 divers.
Film crew,
We're gonna
always.
we're gonna max out our bottom time and really hit that location really hard.
Wow.
And see what happens. I mean, people can argue. We hear, like I said earlier, how the internet does what it does best. A lot of people arguing and the skeptics. But if someone pulls out a full tusk, or just something of magnitude, or a whole bunch of little specimens, you're gonna have to explain how they got there.
I got to reach out to that guy who made the conspiracy video about me in the beginning,
That was great.
who compared me to the Bigfoot guy.
There was since John was on the Discovery platform for sewer divers, this guy on TikTok compared him to another Discovery platform personality.
Who faked the Bigfoot skull.
He faked stuff. So they had a conspiracy theory about the big guy on TikTok.
5,000 views on that video.
That was a pretty impressive video.
Wow.
All right, enough about bones, guys.
Yes, so-
We're going to talk about Bobby Burke. We can continue this conversation in another
A guy from Washington Heights
Yeah.
and New York. How do you get into acting? What made you want to be an actor?
I can never answer this question accurately. I kind of fell into it. I heard an actor say recently, he says, when everybody else kind of stopped, he kept going with it. I could barely read when I got out of high school. No.
Same here. I'm dyslexic.
Yeah, horribly.
Don't be shy, but I have engineering dyslexia. I'll
Horrible.
put anything together. Can't read a book.
The old dialing the phone, literally holding this hand. If you tell me your phone number, I'm like, yeah, put it in yourself. It won't.
I
It
was
won't
turned-
go in right.
You sure? It's the 6 and the 7 are switched. Oh, okay, no problem.
I'm telling you. That's why even in the fire department, I tell them you don't want me trying to get water out of that for you, because I just RPMs and PSIs and GMPs.
When you get the PTO going, you do it backwards.
Oh, forget about it. It's just. But anyway, I did it in high school, and I got an internship to travel the country. And in those days, they paid me $150 in per diem a day.
Okay.
Cash,
Yeah.
untaxed. So I came home with 2 shoeboxes full of cash, and I showed my father, and he goes, "What's that?" And I said, "That's from acting." And he goes, "Really?"
What are you acting like, a bank teller?
Yeah, right. But like initially when I said to my father, I think I want to be an actor, he goes, "A fucking what?" And I said, "An actor." And he goes, "We don't do that. We don't know anybody who does that. Like, what are you talking about?" Both of my parents were from Ireland. They came to America in their 30s. My father worked on the piers and the refrigeration houses, Global Merchants, Manhattan Refrigeration, right there on 12th Avenue. And the superintendent of our building, bartender across the street,
Yeah.
this was about his working
A
class.
working man.
Oh, forget about it. And then we moved to Long Island, where he became a church custodian. And we would work in the church. He was in charge of the boilers, the AC, cleaning, this, that, the other. So that was my upbringing. I lived on the grounds of the church in this little small the house was about as big as this. I'm telling you.
Well, I have to call this cozy.
Yeah, we were
So
cozy.
you got a cozy house.
We were
yes.
cozy. We were happy, and then I think just because I had those initial successes with acting as a kid, and then I went to my father said, he goes, "Can you go to school for that? Like, what do you do? Do you go to college?" I said, "Yeah, there's colleges." So I went to a couple of different colleges, and then I went to my fourth college was a state university in Westchester called SUNY Purchase, and they really have a top-notch, I think, in the country now, program. And I got out of there, but he had passed away, and I didn't want to pursue acting. He was still in my head, saying, "Is this something a man does? I don't know," but So I went to work contracting for about 5-6 years. I started scraping, plaster, paint, anything, and then I moved up with different general contractors. I was working in very high-profile people's homes and stuff like that, and I had a good life. I was making some money. I wasn't running any jobs until actually toward the end. I kind of went out on my own doing restoration work. I worked in one home for 2 years up in Ridgefield, Connecticut.
Jeez.
Built in 1850. We restored everything. 3 stories. I can't remember how many rooms it was, over 20 rooms. And so I learned lots of different skills like that. And then a buddy of mine called who I went to college with, and he said, "I'm doing a movie. You want to do it?" And I said, "How long?" Oh, I was building a deck on a roof and on the Bowery in Manhattan for a guy. Complete fire hazard, the deck was. But now that I look back on it. And,
We just don't say where it is.
No, I know. Because my buddy Patty came up, and he said, "This is great. I didn't know you did this stuff." And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "This is a terrible fire hazard, dude." And we had
Not exactly street legal.
no permits or anything, and we were just
What's a permit?
weighing this, digging into the walls to support this thing. But so my buddy Hal Hartley was his name. He was a filmmaker, and he called and he's like, "Do you want to do this movie?" I said, "Yeah." It took 11 days. Oh. And then I went back to contracting, and then the movie got sold, and
What was the movie?
it was called The Unbelievable Truth. It was about a guy who just got out of jail who thinks he went to jail because he killed somebody, but he didn't actually kill them. It's a comedy. It's a dark comedy. And
What was it called?
The Unbelievable Truth.
I'm watching that tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad movie. It's who else is in it? Bill Sage, Adrian Shelley, who passed away. Who else? There's a couple of people you might recognize in there. Edie Falco. It was her first movie. It was my first movie. Edie and I went to junior high, high school, and college together. So
Really?
Yeah.
And then first film together.
Yeah.
Got a lot of history there.
Yeah. So and that was I don't even know how many movies, 70 movies ago.
What was your favorite movie?
You see, that's hard to say. My favorite was Tombstone, because
Awesome.
you were getting
Awesome.
you were riding horses and shooting guns. However, 2 months into, I'm actually going to a reunion, June 23rd, 4th, 5th for Tombstone. So we're shooting. The writer, producer, director, Kevin Jarre, and he's not shooting it the way the studio wants, so they fire him. And we're like, what? That's big.
During the filming.
During filming.
Okay.
And so Kurt Russell comes into the bar and he says, "Well, I got some good news and bad news. The good news is we're going to keep shooting. The bad news," and he goes to you. He said, "All your stuff, like the backstory, everybody's backstory was cut. We're gonna trim this thing down and just keep going forward." So I said, "Am I going home?" He goes, No. We're going to keep shooting." But
You're good. You have no history, though.
So Val Kilmer, Kurt Russell, Sam Elliott, Bill Paxton and I became very close friends for the years after that, and it was just unbelievable. It was a lot of fun. The
Sounds like it.
shootout at the OK Corral, I think it took 11 days. We expended 12,000 rounds of fully loaded blanks, but you just bomb all day long, and it was very hot. I mean, it was like 110, 115 degrees.
Jeez.
The new director they sent us passed out on the first day. But
Sounds like our new director.
oh yeah, did he take?
Our new director fell, backed into a car. What else did he do? He did something else. I think he broke a camera.
Slammed his hand in the door or something?
Yeah, he did. This guy was the
guy
first
who's
day.
shooting your stuff?
Yeah.
Oh.
The first day we're working for another network.
Well, they're doing a scissor reel.
Well,
I mean, No.
you can say whatever you want.
It's true.
We're doing so he did a scissor reel, and we were shooting it for a major network, and
He had a tough first day.
Yeah,
Or he had a tough.
yeah, it's
He's
very
under
bad
contract.
first.
He can't talk about.
I can't
where-
talk about.
I'm not, so I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, he can say, fuck them. They can do whatever he wants.
Um,
But it was so you went out there. I have like when I hear about stories like this where we expended that much brass, right?
yeah,
My first thought is, as I don't know, a New York City dock builder,
yeah.
who got to keep all that brass?
Well, it's
That's a lot of
interesting.
scrap right there. That's
No,
what I'm saying.
The armor is obliged to collect every single.
Every single one.
Yeah. The armor was Thel Reed. He was a fast gun. It was his daughter who was the armorer on that movie Rust.
Ooh, I was just gonna ask you about that, being that you did scenes involving Western theme and
I was brought up in the industry super, 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 super safe. I say 4 times.
I heard
because there's the redundancy
of safety.
of safety with me. And people say, Burke, calm down. No, I never do.
See, I'm the opposite. My mentality has never been safety first. Safety has to be present.
Yeah, no, I watch you, the way you go. That's why I'm so interested because, and listen, I can't, I'm going to go back to you. You're down there, you get jammed, that's why I wanted to know immediately. I never knew you guys had standby divers, I diver in the water, diver at that, that elbow. That's good to hear. That relieves, my anxiety while I'm watching.
Well, when we're working, like for example, Josh. Hey,
Right.
Josh. Josh is a certified hard hat diver.
Oh, I see.
Jonathan Santiago on our crew, certified hard hat diver. Cortez. Everyone but John,
Right.
my brother, he drives the boat. He sets up.
Sure.
He-
Tender comms,
He
everything.
holds my rig, and no one else. He
I,
soaks it.
I did dive though.
Can I
with
tell
the
you,
brothers.
we say in the fire service, the guy's got the nozzle, but the guy behind him is the most important guy
Yeah.
because he's taking the,
I can do my job knowing
right,
he'll come up on me.
right.
And if he does it, my mom will beat the shit out of him.
Well, there you go.
You know, it's a plus. I got insurance.
DNA, baby.
So everyone has a role with us, but everyone is a diver.
I see.
So when I'm in the water, or say Josh, Santiago, whoever's diving,
right.
the next guy in line, his helmet's out, it's hooked up, ready to go. We might not look like we're ready, but how fast can you dress out in your dress?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like
Yep.
that. We're
Yeah.
in and out. So safety for us has to be present.
I like to
Yeah.
get in the water, full gear, and everything to test it out, so I know what they're going
Absolutely.
through,
Absolutely.
and I can expect things and anticipate.
So, well,
things.
let's
know-
keep the hot water running then, bud.
That's a little different. We need to get better
But
equipment.
that doesn't seem to be an exact science. I mean, you're just heating it up by the exhaust system, is it?
No, so you suck the water up from the river.
Right.
It goes into a coil, which I think is like 200 feet of steel coil wrapped up. The water goes through it. You have an oil burner for almost like your
So
house.
it's its own entity.
Yep.
Yes.
And it
Okay.
heats up the water. It comes out and goes into my umbilical,
Right.
and that goes into my suit.
Right. But you see these guys, whitewater gold, well, I wrapped the coil around the exhaust. I guess,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's effective ways to heat up water. I mean, there's 1,000 ways to
Sure.
skin a cat. Not sure why you would, but 1,000 ways to do it.
Right.
So the most efficient way, what we're doing, is the most efficient way
own-
to do it. It's its own entity.
Right.
It runs itself.
I'm
mean,
learning so much.
So, but on the East River, especially in the very beginning where we were,
Yeah.
you have tugboats going by, barges, regular boats,
No one's
ferry
kind.
boats, and not to mention the wake, everything. So the boat's rocking. We're in a little boat. The boat's rocking like crazy, and that burner's not steady. It goes off.
Yeah.
Too much wind gets cut off.
no,
So there's like
You don't put fuel in it because you're too busy on Instagram.
And that
it goes
water
off.
that's coming through you is
River water.
river water. You see, that's another. You heat that.
Yeah, it's delicious.
Oh, boy.
I'll tell you right now, I smell, quiet back there, I smell scrumptious at the end of the day. That's why we started working a lot with Dude Wipes, because they have these portable shower wipes.
Yeah.
They have been an absolute asset.
they smell good.
You go from smelling like low tide on an August day to smelling like rich mahogany. It's an amazing transformation.
I get
recommend
a
getting
pack leaving here today?
Yes, I'll make sure you get some. Yes. But Dude Wipes, saint there, Dude Wipes.
Wow.
And Brunt.
Brunt, yes, Brunt footwear.
And
Footwear.
Mammoth.
I'm wearing a Brunt t-shirt right now. We're like a bunch of branding whores. Who's this? Pressure Junkies?
Who's that,
We
Pressure
got
Junkies?
Milwaukee. There's Mammoth Headwear. I keep turning my cup
Bro,
ever
that's
so
the-
gently.
That's the way to go.
So
That
I
is the
wanted
way
to
go.
bring
Oh,
up.
Catfight Coffee?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done.
I wanted to bring up the first Stephen King movie I've ever seen when I was little. I think I was like 10 years old.
Still wets the bed over it.
Sinner.
Wow.
Yes. First one I've ever
Hold
seen.
on. For you, was it a horror movie or a wish?
Well, I watched.
You lost weight.
I read the thing on the TV guide. It said, lawyer, gypsy curse, blah blah blah. I'm like, oh, this.
I
can't
don't
be,
think we
this,
can say gypsy anymore.
this whatever.
All right, whatever. Just let you know. It's PC.
It still said it online.
Okay, all right, we're good.
So I'm like, oh, this seems like an okay movie.
Yeah.
I watched it.
Seems like a so-so movie.
It scarred me for like
it really?
2 weeks because it was like it wasn't like super scary, but for like a 10-year-old,
Right.
it can be.
Yeah, you're doing a lot of driving at 10, running over gypsies, getting cursed. Yeah, I can see how that makes sense.
We're having a reunion with that June 17th out in San Diego.
If you need a +1, the big guy would love to go.
I just wanted to bring that up. But I loved the movie. I watched it again recently, like a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Now,
Fantastic acting.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I have never shot a movie.
Right.
Not yet. So I've never shot a movie, but I've done TV. What is the big differences in shooting television and shooting movies?
Time.
Just the longevity of it?
No. I mean, there's a lot of different, but time. You have 9 days to shoot the episode, or 7 days to shoot the episode. Come what may.
You get that long?
Oh yeah. I mean,
Wow.
you're going to shoot 94 pages. A film you can have 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And everything is location bound. So every scene, we can have scenes in this room here, at the beginning, the middle, of the end of the movie. But we're going to shoot them all in one day here. It's everything.
So you're shooting them out of context?
We shoot locations.
Yeah, that's how
out.
movies are made.
I've never been on one. That's why I asked.
Yeah,
Don't
if
turn my
you
throat.
have a lot of money, you can return to a location. Thinner is an interesting movie because we tried to shoot it because of the makeup sequentially, which you never, ever, ever shoot a movie sequentially.
Right.
And so it becomes like a piece of music. Like you're going to play this piece, but then you're going to go back to the beginning. It's all out of order. So that's why my mother used to say, "Is it going to be a good movie?" I said, "Ma, we make the good ones the same way as we make the bad ones. We show up, we try our best." So you always have to be cognizant of where you are and will this work. I did a scene with Mariska Hargitay in Special Victims Unit where I'm yelling. Later on, I'm going to yell and scream at this guy. He's my cousin, screaming. And then, but the scene we shoot first is after that. So I come out of the church and I'm like, "Rah," like this and everything. And I said, "Is this too much?" She goes, "No." And I said, "Because I don't know what's going to happen in here. It's all out of order. So
Right.
you have to really, figure out, the tempo and stuff like that." Thinner, I got up at 2 o'clock in the morning. The makeup started. I was ready at 7. It was a 5-hour makeup job. I was contractually obligated to lose 25 pounds while I was shooting that movie. I was on a high-protein liquid diet. I was on the treadmill. That one was difficult. When I read the book, I loved the book. The book was great. They had us meet with Rom gypsies in New York. They look like the mob. They look.
I've had a run-in with gypsies in Portugal.
I mean, listen, they look
No
like
joke.
you or I. I mean, there's no real,
You live in a tent. It's cool.
Yeah,
I get it.
guy is. No, I'm not even so when we did shoot the movie, though, I was a little freaked out because the way they were presented was like 1950s Technicolor, long hair, and I was like, that's not the way they look like on Bleecker Street in Manhattan. When
Right.
they're like, "Come here, I'll read your fortune,"
Come here, I'll steal your wallet.
Yeah, that's exactly. So,
Again, calling gypsy stealing wallet.
Oh.
but that's what was written in the book, ostensibly, as I read it. And so it became this other thing. And I had one group of people in the movie telling me, "We love when you play it naturally. When he's a real character. He's an overweight guy. He's been cursed. He doesn't know what." But then there was another group of people who said, "I like when you play it over the top." And I'm like, which of these? Because they were both very powerful entities directing me in two different ways. One was the studio, and the other was Mr. King, like this.
So you get to meet him?
Oh yeah, he's
Nice.
in the movie. He plays the pharmacist.
Right.
Yeah. So he's I mean, like it's like anything. I watch you guys online, and I'm like, wow, look at these guys. Look what they're doing. I'm fascinated. And then all of a sudden, now you're sitting in front of me. Joe.
Right.
Yeah.
It was the same thing with him, and a lot of people in my life. It just, I remember the first time I was working with Robert De Niro, and you grow up, you see him. But then all of a sudden he's sitting there in front of you, and oh my God, he's saying something to me. What's he saying?
He knows my name.
Yeah. So the same thing with Stephen King. There he is. He's right there, and he's saying something to me. What is he?
Will he be at the reunion?
No, he will not. I think Joe Mantegna, Lucinda Jenny, one of the effects guys, Vincent Guastini, who's gone on to be like top makeup effects guy. So there's going to be a good complement of people from the film. Yeah. Oh, and the director Tom Holland, who's done tons of Stephen King films.
Yeah.
Great guy, great human being. Pleasure to work with him. Because he's got a gun to his head with the studio and the time and the money, and you're wasting time and blah blah blah. And he's trying to tell the story. So, and we were up in Maine for 3 or 4 months, 4 months I think. So yeah, it was. Listen, I was still building professional muscles at that time. Learning how to show up early and do my job. And,
Right.
I'm still learning how to show up early.
So,
right.
what do you prefer? Do you prefer movies or TV more?
It depends. If I'm coaching CYO basketball or if I'm coaching Little League baseball, I prefer television because it's more 9 to 5.
Right.
Films. I can get a call. Oh, you're going to Africa. I've done 3 films in Africa, 2 films in Southeast Asia. You don't want to really be that far away because I'm a family guy.
Yeah.
No two ways about it. And in terms of my fire service in the last 20 years, I like kind of being home. I've been very lucky. There was a 17-year run. I went from Rescue Me to Special Victims Unit to Person of Interest. I get on a plane, go down to South Carolina to do Army Wives, come back up, do Gossip Girl. I was doing like 5 shows at one time.
Gossip Girls.
Well,
I heard. I've never seen an episode. Not gonna lie to you.
good man.
My wife.
Nothing worse than a guy's. The guy's like, I love that show.
So my
freaks me
wife
out.
loved it. Our buddy, commander of this VFW that we're at,
Yeah.
his wife absolutely loves
The
it.
wives love it.
And they said you play the best villain father.
Oh.
That's what I hear. You play the best villain dad.
My oldest boy was in high school at the time. He's like, you got to be on this show. And I'm like, why? He goes, it's killing. I said, bro, if my father was, on a show with like hot chicks, I'd be parlaying.
Yeah, I'd be like, let's hang out.
Yeah,
Let's go on
absolutely.
the set.
I'm gonna go pick up Dad from work.
Yeah, got it. You need a driver?
You're here busting my chops. I'm on a show. So he's like, because he didn't want the scrutiny. You know what I mean? High school. But it was a good show. It was local. It was New York. I was able to be home, and at that specific time I was still coaching. There's 6 years between my 2 boys, so I was coaching Little League at that time and basketball. So it was good. I could go home.
That's really. Anyone could ask for. Yeah, you get to do it, have a good time doing it, and then be home at the end of the day.
Every time I'm on a set, and it's never not happened to me. I at some point I'll look around and go, I can't believe I get to do this. I cannot believe it worked out because I was a problem child. Up until I was 23 years old, I was kind of a large problem. And my sisters even said,
Since we're measuring it, I was large.
My sisters will say to me, I can't believe you've gone on and done this. I cannot believe that this has happened. So, and it's like a modest, I've been lucky. I swim in the middle. I show up early. I hope I don't cause anybody problems. I've caused maybe in 33 years, I've caused 2 people problems. You know what I mean?
You want to tell me about those
Well,
problems?
no.
All right.
But
They deserved them.
Yeah.
one was on RoboCop, I can tell you,
Oh,
and
I
the
love
other
that
was
movie.
on, and the other one's on Thinner. I caused a problem because somebody was causing a problem.
But you were the main guy, so,
I was the main guy. I was like, back off.
Yeah.
When the talent's here, why don't you all relax? When you were younger, you did a little wild streak. What was the craziest thing you did? Can't discuss it. Statute of limitations is up, huh? All right.
You pay for expungement, you pay these costs, and
Oh no, I kept my record as a badge of honor.
did you?
Absolutely.
But you're already in the union. You don't need.
Yeah, I don't need to do anything about it now. People say now, like, "Well, why don't you get expunged?" I'm like, "Why? I'm all right. I've already made it. I'm good."
Yeah,
But you're gonna get into the public eye. I was like, okay.
yeah.
And if it fails, I'll go back to the union. Whatever.
It's how many years later? Let's say it's almost 40 years later, and I still can't run for office. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Because somebody would show up and go, "That's him,"
That's the man.
or he looks very much like the guy. So yeah,
That's fair.
I
can appreciate that.
Things worked out though.
Yeah, I
thank
got
God.
you. The big guy has lucked out on a few through a few charges because of illegal searches and seizures and such.
Oh yeah.
Walked away scot-free in his younger years.
you got to know law,
Yeah, he got the law.
Wow.
Yeah, walked away.
It
Scot-free.
probably would have been like
Bad.
a year, 2 years, 3
Yeah,
years,
it would've been an
maybe
issue.
Yeah.
facing
But
to
then it's
nothing.
Then it's all the stuff after it.
So I have another question for you.
Yeah.
Is there an actor that you've always wanted to work with that you haven't yet?
Oh, that's an interesting.
Like a real favorite person.
Yeah, Dirty Water Don. Yeah. Gotcha.
No, there's people like there's a lot of good guys out there who do really really good work.
Who's that one?
That I have worked with them. It was my second movie, and I done this little movie, this little nothing movie, and then I got an agent, and my first audition, I got the job, and it was with Robert Duvall, and I remember I was shaking like
Legend.
Well, yeah, and I was like, oh my God, and I'll tighten up the story. I get down to North Carolina, and they pick me up at the airport. And I'm nauseous. I've been nauseous for 3 days before I get there. Like I can't eat because I'm so
nervous Nelly.
Yeah.
All right.
And so the kid picks me up, and he's like this North Carolina kid. He's a production assistant, and I was like, "Are we going to the hotel?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Okay." And then over the radio, Cracker's like, "Bring Robert to the set. Everybody wants to meet him." And I'm like, "Oh God!" And so I'm like this in the car. I'll never forget. I said, "Are we getting close?" And he goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "You okay?" And I was like, "No." And I'll never forget it as long as I live. We get to the set, and here's the trailers and everything, and out of the trailer comes Robert Duvall, and he's got a little Jack Russell Terrier with him. He starts throwing a little frisbee for the dog, and the frisbee lands by me, and I pick it up, throw it back to him, and now I'm playing frisbee with Robert Duvall and his dog. He's like, "Hey, how you doing?" I was like, "I'm playing, Dave Wilkie," and he goes, "Oh, I said, I know who you are," and so. It was just things were coming like not. It wasn't money. It was just like, look at this dude. Look at him. I was so in awe. And then I got to watch. One day he comes out and he goes. He called everybody Haas. He's like, "Hey Haas, you like history?" And I'm like, "Yes." And he goes, "Come on." And so we went into his trailer, and I think Ken Burns had given him a couple of advance copies of the Civil War documentary. It was the greatest documentary ever. So we go in, and he puts it in, and we're watching the tape and everything, and I'm like watching him, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm watching, and I'll never forget what he said. He goes, it's still photography and narration, and I'm begging for more, because he was like a real history buff.
Yeah.
And I called my wife. I was watching a documentary with Bob Duvall in his trailer.
Was there popcorn?
No, there was
no snacks.
But anyway, so that was he was great, and then Robert De Niro. I've worked with him on Copland, Hide and Seek, and Limitless. I play his assistant on Limitless, and he's an interesting guy.
Great movie.
Good solid movie, right?
Bradley Cooper, yeah.
And so yeah, again, I like I said, I swim in the middle, and I've RoboCop. That was the lead guy. It's not very dramatic. Thinner.
Let's not sell yourself short.
Well,
what was the Robert
fucking
Duvall movie?
RoboCop? You got it.
What was the Robert Duvall movie?
It was called Ramblin' Rose. With
Okay.
Laura Dern was nominated for an Oscar. Her mother was nominated for an Oscar for that movie. Lucas Haas was in it.
What kind of? You got any projects going on now? You got anything working? in the
I
works?
don't. I passed on a couple of different things, and then the strike came up. Prior to which, I had a small turn in Black Panther 2: Wakanda Forever.
Okay.
Which was like, I describe it as I'm home during COVID, minding my own business, and the agent calls and he says, "Hey, listen, you have an offer here for what?" And I said, "For what?" He goes, "Are you sitting down?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "For Wakanda Forever." I'm like, pfft. And then I got another offer after that for a film for Hulu called The Boston Strangler.
Yes.
Keira Knightley, she's brilliant in it.
Just watched that.
Yeah,
Pretty good show. Pretty good movie.
Yeah,
Pretty
very
good.
a solid movie. Prior to that, we did Intrusion, which was a thriller murder mystery with Frida Pinto, who's a fantastic actress. That was like the depths of COVID. Everybody on the set is goggles and masks and gloves.
COVID
and,
bubble.
Oh, it was crazy. I remember the sound guy was like, "Let me see what your face looks like." He goes, "What?" I said, "Let me see your face." And he's like this. I'm like, "All right, guy." What we did for years, it was Matsubayashi Shurin-ryu, Okinawan karate. No frills, no secrets. Okay, the secret was sweat and pain. Lots of pain. And it was just old Okinawan karate. It was just banging, 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 banging. And like, I'm such a fan of MMA and like what works. Oh, like the old PKA days. And then it's getting into karate. I'm like, somebody's going to die. And, Dana did such a good job and, kind of molding it and stuff like this. So, the shoot fighters, they're the good guys. And obviously it's gone to jiu-jitsu guys.
Right.
It's all going there. And once it goes there, if you don't know what you're doing, you're done. So like guys who fight like
Yeah, you can't do
that's
that.
not the way it's gonna happen. Now Lyoto Machida, you saw he was a classical karate fighter. Boom. Okay, it might happen like that. You might get a Mayagari front kick right to here, and everybody goes to sleep.
Yep.
But chances are it's not going to happen like that. So I did it for the sweat. I did it for the workout. I didn't like to go to a gym and lift weights and look in the mirror. I loved training with these guys. Where our karate was centered was a town called Naha, Okinawa. And there was a camp, a Marine Corps camp called Camp Hansen. And out the back gate of that was this karate. So you had an inordinate amount of Marines coming back from the Vietnam era who had trained in this style of karate. And again, it's no bones. It's very natural. Like Shotokan is very extreme, stances. This is a very natural form. And I like, again, you were soaking wet after 5 minutes of the warm-up. Like the warm-up was designed to make you pass
Good
out.
workout.
So I hit this thing. I hit a lot of things. One of the things is it's a 12-pound bag of sand, right? Because that's the weight of the weight of the head is
8 pounds.
8 pounds.
8 pounds. But I add 4 because
You're a man.
no, because this idiot started with me, so he has to have a bigger head, right?
Yeah, it makes sense.
So I hang it and I smack it, and I go for speed. I go for accuracy. Take 2 or 3, but get in there, right? And I've been doing it for years, and it's sand. So I put it down one night. It rains. It gets wet. But then the next morning it freezes. I hang it, and I start the exercise 110% commitment to the punch. And I was like,
Full send.
it's
You
frozen.
saw Jesus.
It's a frozen block of
Get this
ice.
straight. You damaged your hand
Human error, baby.
by purposely punching a
As-
frozen bag of sand.
He didn't know it was frozen.
Listen to me. Anybody who knows me, my kids will say, yeah, he probably does it all the time. Doesn't tell us. But this one he told us about. And I'm telling you, that was like 2 years ago. My hand doctor is this guy. He's like one of the best guys ever. And he's like, nothing I could do for that. So I went to he's a fighter, John Duddy. He was, I think, a lightweight champion. And I said, John, soft tissue, time. I said, I don't want time. Tell me how to.
Results today.
Yeah, and I'm
Give me some stem
soaking it and
cells.
everything, and still, it's just still this. But
Well, you don't need
You
your
ever look
middle
at
finger to thumb
stem
rest.
cell injections?
oh, that's interesting. Well, it's like the cartilage. Something happened in there. But the guy I go to, he's like the hand guy in my whole family because everybody, gets injured. But he said, no, nothing I can do for that. So
Punched
2
a
years ago.
frozen bag of sand.
I mean,
Nice.
like as hard as I possibly. No, actually,
No resistance.
from this position. So the exercise is bang, 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 and right away I went bang like this, and it was just.
Stars.
See that episode of Whitewater Gold where the kid Carlos, it just superheats.
Yeah,
I
Burke.
got
Yeah.
steamed. I got
Yeah, happened
steamed
to
at
him, too.
Chelsea Piers.
Did you?
They had a concrete trunk park on my hose.
Oh,
Security stopped them.
stopped it.
On my hose. The steam built up in the machine, right? They let the truck go. The steam came to me.
Burned
Hit
his
me
ass,
right
yeah.
across my stomach.
What was the nature of the dive?
We were doing pile repairs. So I was taking original piles to Chelsea Piers,
Right.
and we were wrapping them with fiberglass jackets,
Right.
and then we were
I've seen
pumping them
that,
full,
yeah.
pumping full of concrete.
Wow.
So I was underneath a West Side Highway more than I
Right.
was the Riverside.
Right.
So it was like a catacomb to get there. So I couldn't just swim right out. So it was a pain in the ass, and I had to burn across here and a burn across the old by the.
Let's just say he motherfucked all of us, but it wasn't our fault.
It wasn't their fault.
Did it blister?
I didn't scar nothing.
Oh,
Right
wow.
across here.
Wow.
I know it's not on the physique like you do. But my mentality is this: I don't need to work out, right? Because I go to the beach, I'm covered from between my toes,
Yeah.
to my collarbone, armpits.
Yeah.
Women talk to me about my tattoos.
There you go, bro.
They're not like, "Oh, nice, hey, fat fuck." They're like, "Wow, your armpit's tattooed, badass." I'm like, "Hey, what's up? Want fuck?"
For me, it's like, hey, what'd you make for dinner last night? You got a recipe?
Chicken parm.
Hey,
My
don't.
father grabbed a friend of mine when we were kids who had an earring, and he got like 3 lilies. It's like an IRA symbol,
Okay.
for the Easter rising. And my father goes, "What are you, a fucking land pirate?" And we'd never heard those two
Land pirate.
two words together, and we howled with laughter for about 5 years. None of the crew ever got ink or holes after that. Do you know what I mean? It was just
Yeah.
one of those things. Because so many times I've come this close to getting ink and just never. You still hear the
What's a land pirate?
We don't really drink, we don't really drink out of straws anymore.
Oh, because our
Okay.
grandfather.
Yeah, we were little. Grandfather, my mom's
Took it.
father, no one goes,
It's a sissy stick.
What are you drinking out of sissy
He
stick?
called you a panty waste. You sit when you piss?
And we're like, whoa. So straws out
I have
of
a
everything.
great story about that.
Those things stick.
Yeah,
they
they
do.
So my grandfather, God rest his soul, he towards the end of his life, man's man, would cut his hand off and keep working. Fell off a ladder, actually broke his back, went back at the ladder, kept
Broke his back and got a hairline fracture all the way down his leg.
From the one fall.
yeah,
th-
and
30
kept
feet he
painting,
fell.
kept painting the rest of the day, finished.
Finished work.
So he's older, and so I got to work early, and my mom's like, hey, your uncle can't make it today. Can you go hang out with Pop? I was like, absolutely, free pizza. So I go over there. Now, my entire life, we've always been told, sissy sticks for straws, and you're a panty waste. But that was his insults. I'm like, what are you going to call me next, Yellow? So he never called me Yellow. So he called panty waste. So we're sitting there, and he's like, he's boy. He always called me boy. Boy, I got to take a piss. I was like, all right, come on, old man River. Help him up. I bring him to the bathroom. He sits down on the toilet to take a piss.
Yeah.
And I start laughing. I was like, you fucking panty waste.
What are you sitting
Now,
with me?
he starts laughing so hard, he hits his head on the counter. It was a small bathroom.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he sits down, he hits his head on the sink. And old people, you touch them, they bruise. So now he has a fucking goose egg and he's bruised. And he's laughing so hard, he can't catch his breath. Now he's farting. I'm laughing. He leans back, he goes, it's really funny. I'm going to tell your mother you fucking hit me. So now I'm like,
That's
I don't know,
great.
20-something years old, thinking my mom's going to think I hit the old man. And now we're just laughing our asses off.
Oh my
But it was
God.
so weird. Went through life as it has such a negative undertone, being a panty waste.
Yeah.
And now my most fondest memory of my grandfather
Of him
is
being
calling him a panty waste.
Wow.
This is a great time. But seriously, what's a land pirate?
Yeah.
You ever heard that? Hey, Josh.
I never heard of a land pirate.
No, neither did we.
Josh, Google land pirate on Urban Dictionary.
It is one who robs the land, such as a highwayman.
Oh,
A highwayman.
that's
yeah.
not really bad. A highwayman's gangster as shit.
Mm.
Cash, sing a
But
song
it was
about
like, did he mean it more like a butt pirate? kind of
Yeah,
thing?
that's what I'm
No.
thinking.
And that kind of?
No.
No.
No, just
Land pirate.
land pirate.
No, land
Pirates.
pirate.
Well, you know, he
Because only pirates had tattoos
yeah, if
and
you were a
earrings.
Maori
Yeah.
tribesman, if you spent time on a destroyer in the South Pacific during World War II, okay, knock yourself out, get some ink.
Yeah.
But if you didn't know, you know, and that was the way he was. I mean, but I had my godfather was completely inked, an old Navy guy, Teddy Enright.
Land pirate.
Yeah.
That's going to stick with me.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to be a land pirate from here on out. What's up, land pirate?
Well,
Our buddy Bob Ritchie is one of our mentors. They call him the sea monster.
Probably one of the best divers ever to dive in the Union.
Let's
Oh,
not
no
get
kidding.
crazy. No,
One
he
up.
really is.
I said one up.
He's that good of a diver. He's been on this kick now where he calls everyone chestnut.
Chestnut.
They chestnut. And I'm like, stop trying to make that work. It's not going to stick. And then I find myself in meetings calling people chestnut. I'm like,
Just
damn it.
Robert Duvall did. Our uncle, great uncle, called everyone Hoss.
Dad
also.
does that now, too. Dad
Hoss?
calls people Hoss.
Yeah, Hoss. That's a big
My
thing.
father calls my oldest son Hoss all the time.
My father never called anybody by their name. He always had a name for somebody. Hey, Gov. Hey, Joe. Hey, Steelback. I mean, he was just crazy.
That sounds like old Union mentality right there.
Well, yeah, there was something. Well, it was Irish too.
Okay.
Like he called us. We didn't. It wasn't until I was older. A narrowback.
a narrow back?
It means your back is narrow. You don't work.
You're weak.
You're a weak. Yeah.
You got soft hands.
Narrowbacks. He would say, I mean, tremendous things. Like I'll split your skull. You know those types. He was a wonderful guy, but he was a fucking disciplinarian. I can tell you that. And he was a bit, 6'4", 275.
Big back.
Oh, forget about it. And but he was a gentleman too. But he would call us narrowbacks. He would call us like a string of Irish euphemisms for that person which cannot pull the load. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, we ended up pulling the load. He got me a job with a mason, landscaper, rock, railroad ties, shale brick, moss rock. And I went to work with this guy, and this guy would leave me on the job ultimately, and he would get $16,000 for the job, and I'd get $400. And I'd say to my father, "This guy's killing me. He's making all this money." He goes, "Ask him for a raise." I said, "No, I'm afraid." Like this, but we went to work for this guy, and he was a killer. He was just, it was hard work for young kids, but it was the best thing in the whole world. Best thing in the whole world.
My mom got most of us our first jobs.
Doing.
Name it.
Yeah.
Landscaping, construction. We all worked at Pizza Land at one time or another. It's on The Sopranos, the entry scene.
Oh,
Pizza
yeah,
Land.
yeah.
We've all worked there as some of our first jobs, and she got us jobs to give us character, and it wasn't about the money. You go do roofing and learn.
7 years old. cutting papers on a Saturday and Sunday morning, like the bums, the bums would come up. We'd sell
Homeless.
papers, and literally, Times, Combo, Sports, Maine, bum, and you'd stack them and you put them in the window at the candy store, the stationery store. People come on a Sunday morning to buy them, and you had to be up Saturday morning and Sunday morning at 5 o'clock in the morning. We had ink on our hands until Wednesday. You know what I mean? It was like it was child labor. But Thursday we set up bingo tables. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
huge bingo tables with the ashtrays, tables, and everything. And I mean a vast hall. My brother and I, and we always worked.
Our parents had J&D catering, and we load and unload the cars, set up sternos and
I'd
trays.
cook.
He'd cook. So my mom did House of Lloyd's in Avon.
Wow.
We run in to do the deliveries.
Yeah. Wow.
You got to pull your weight.
You do.
We
You
weren't
really
narrow
do.
backs. But let's just wrap this up.
Alrighty,
If you
man.
ever want to come out with us
I was just going to
on
say
the
that.
boat,
You should come out with us one day.
wide open invitation.
I would love to. I mean, like that's the other thing. Like doing things like this, I'm honored. I like meeting people. I like to
absolutely.
just connect and I find it so fascinating. I think that like the fire service, I had no idea what the job was. Okay. Now, your job, I'm a little bit cognizant of, but just the degree to which, you guys have to be so spot on every time, and that John Q. Public doesn't understand why he's watching the show.
No.
Because it's the danger element. And then it's like, that childlike, well, we're looking for something we don't know where we're going to find it and everything. And so for me, it speaks to me.
Sense of
And
adventure.
I love it. I love it, and I respect it more than anything. And the way you guys do it and conduct yourselves, and spinning it, that other people would finally get to see it. So
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate
Appreciate it.
all, man.
So if everyone want to come out with us, open invitation. Whenever you have a day free, we're like, I'm feeling froggy. We're there.
We'll set it up around your schedule.
Hey, listen, I would definitely, if I had a window, I would definitely get out there and I'd be fascinated.
I'll let you
Absolutely
dive.
fascinated. I'm not diving. No, listen, I tell you one thing. I know my parameters in life now. Do you know what I mean?
not that hard.
No jumping out of a perfectly good airplane. No jumping.
Have
out
you
of
ever done skydiving?
No, never will either.
I've done it once. It was a good time.
No,
Definitely one time. Definitely on the bucket list of things you should probably check out.
no. I'm not pushing with my karma.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Leave it on that note. Karma,
right,
let's not mess with
That's
karma.
not fucking karma. Let's
Mr.
wrap this up,
Burke,
guys.
All
It
right,
was an
guys.
absolute pleasure having you on. Thank you so
It
much
was.
for coming
Thank
out.
you for
guys.
coming. Really
Thank
do
you guys for
appreciate it.
having me.
Again, thank you for tuning in to Diving Deep with the Dirty Water Boys, powered by Trinity Solar. Not just a name we believe in, but a name our family uses. Again, if you're looking to go green and maybe save a little on your energy bill, my parents are paying $4 a month right now, PSE&G.
That's a service charge, by the way.
That's service charge. Contact our man Josh in the clouds there at 908-235-9526. Use the promo code Diving Deep. Get 5% off your installation.
Thanks for
listening,
tuning in.
guys.